Alright, this is Circuits 1 semester project, and as a group we did the Airsoft version 2 Gearbox, which is what you're looking at right here. The circuit itself is simply just the by far simplest circuit you could do. It takes the power source, which is the battery, a 7.4 volt LiPo, and connects it via just no resistance, theoretically, no resistance wiring, all the way in to a trigger contact, which is just a switch that connects 2 points that completes the circuit, which then in turn fires the motor, spinning the motor, causing gears to turn, a spring to be compressed, and released inside the cylinder, causing compression of air and shooting a jet of air out. Now, what Airsoft actually is firing tiny plastic pellets like this out of a barrel of a rifle as a projectile, as a sport to play against other players, shoot at targets, whatever. But this gearbox is quite simple, and to demonstrate how the motor works and to show that the circuit works completely, I will test it. Okay. Now, to test it actually inside, propelling an object from one part of the table to another. Alright, here's a test part of the fully assembled gearbox, where it will now compress the spring to compress air inside the cylinder, and then to be shot out in a jet of air. And we are trying to move this object from one place to another. Best part about this is movable. You can move this entire gearbox with your single hand. Now, to test. As you can see, the circuit completes, and once the circuit completes, the motor turns, which in turn turns 3 gears, which then pull back a piston that is on the spring here, and then the spring compresses. Then once the piston is out of teeth, then the piston gets released and the spring decompresses, causing the compressed air inside the cylinder to be jetted out the nozzle, which in turn makes objects move. Now for the circuit inside. Alright, here's all the inner workings of an Airsoft version 2 gearbox. As said before, you got the 3 gears that help turn. Once the motor is ignited by the electricity, the motor turns, causing these gears to spin, this piston to be thrown backwards, compressing the spring, and then once the sector gear runs out of teeth, and this runs out of teeth, this gets released, and the spring tension releases, causing compression inside the cylinder, which then in turn launches the jet of air out. The circuit is very, very simple. You got your connector here, which is in turn connected to your battery, and once connected, it runs along the wires, and as you can see, there is 0 resistances in here, except of course at your connectors and some other unintelligible things that can be negated at this point. So here's your connector. That's where your switch is, basically, completing the circuit and connecting the motor, and this is your only load in the circuit, and that completes your circuit, making this a completed version 2 gearbox. Thank you for watching.